comms or comm-free companies, they serve a purpose. They're definitely statistically not proven, so they're not the best route to go with, although they do serve a purpose. Okay. I think there's a huge benefit to working with a realtor, and yes, commissions play a role, but they shouldn't be the predominant factor in making a decision.
Okay. 905-595-5483 is the number to call. If you're thinking about selling in the next few months, buying, investing, please call in, ask a question, stay tuned as we talk to David about all this kind of stuff. David, there's a notion out there that I think most sellers fall in the trap of, and that is selling their listing. They get, or from a realtor's perspective, they're buying a listing. Why don't you explain what it is? I think it's tragic. I think it's an epidemic. I think it happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
But explain that concept of me as Mr. Seller selling the listing to an agent.
Yeah, so unfortunately, what happens is because it's such a competitive business, sometimes agents will come in, sit down with a vendor, and quote unquote buy the listing. And what I mean by that is they'll give a valuation on their property that's really unrealistic.
So my property is worth $395. Mm-hmm. I'm interviewing, and I should interview 2-3 agents.
Sure.
Unless, the better way is through a referral. But if I don't really have a really strong referral, somebody hasn't referred, then I interview 2-3 agents. And my house is, and I don't know this, but my house is valued at $395. Mm-hmm. So give me the 3 possibilities. So one agent says this, another says this. Tell me the one to stay away from.
Yeah. So the one to stay away from is an agent that comes in, talks an incredible game. So has the silver tongue and tells you that your property's worth $450. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting in the chair, absolutely ecstatic, and you're so happy.
And I want to choose him.
Sure you do.
Because David came in and he told me $395 to $410.
Yeah.
And this guy told me $450.
Yes.
So David's out.
Out.
And Vinny is in.
Vinny is in, and Vinny will get the listing. And historically what happens, at least in my experience, is within 2 weeks, Vinny will come and sit down with the vendor. And
after we've already signed an agreement.
After you're signed and you're contractually bounded, and we'll sit down and we'll ask for a price reduction. And say, listen, things aren't going so well, let's reduce the price by X number of dollars. And that's where it kind of gets unfortunate, because that's where reality hits the vendors in the face. It's like, oh my goodness, we've been had. But by that time, it's usually too late, and most vendors just drop the price and sell their properties.
So when I was doing, I was doing about 40 ends a year, 40 deals. I know you do a lot more. I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember price reductions that often. Mm-hmm. So for example, this year you're done what, 20, 30 ends? How many,
About
right?
that.
Okay, so how many price reductions? Some, once in a blue moon, they're valid, but is that fair to say that we really, if we're doing our job as realtors, we're doing our due diligence, we shouldn't have price reductions?
Yeah, no, I haven't done many. The market has changed. It's softened a little bit. Inventory has changed things a little bit.
Yeah.
So price reductions are part of the game, but certainly not the majority. It's 1 in every 10.
And this is why I say this, and you need to really listen, because I'm speaking in love, Peel Region. When I see as an investor, when I see a price reduction, when I see I now go in for the kill. Now I can go, you've already dropped it 10 grand. You just want to get rid of the house. You already have I don't want to say lousy realtor, but I'm just saying in my past experience, because somebody didn't do it properly the first time, I'm seeing it's kind of getting stale. I'm seeing maybe a little bit of desperation. What would you say? Would you say that, that's not 100%, but yes, that happens often?
Yeah, and you've hit it dead on. And that's the exact reason we try to educate consumers out there into pricing the property properly.
Yeah.
Because the minute you start dropping your price, you get the birds of prey coming out, and kind of sniffing and coming in with really low offers, and it's a struggle.
And if I went with my cousin Vinny to sell my house, and I priced it at $450, and it was really worth $395.
Yeah.
And the next door neighbor now wants to sell his house, and he's smart, and he chooses David, who prices it accurately. You're now going to price it at $410.
Sure I am.
And I am helping you now sell his house.
I'll leverage your overpriced listing to sell mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what can happen a lot of times, is when we listen to what our itching ears want to hear. I think the best thing to do is, if Vinny is telling me $450, make him prove it. Why? Show me the comparable. Show me why you think so. Or even can that be, fabricated as well?
Fabricated, not so much. The challenge is sometimes agents will bring non-comparable listings of bigger properties to sell the vendor on their price point.
More land, but yet same house, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing, yeah. And I think it's imperative, again, that, vendors really look at, what the reality is and do their own homework. Just sitting back and taking, an agent's perspective is not enough. This is the day of technology. There's tons of information out there. The vendors have to be diligent as well. They can't just sit back and, take what somebody's telling them. I mean, trust is important, but, common sense, unfortunately, isn't always common practice.
Sure. So objectively, as objective as you can be, what does one now look for in a realtor? Like, what are we looking for? I mean, all joking aside, my cousin just got into the business. It's family, but it's not competent. Mm-hmm. Then there's somebody who obviously is competent because I see they sell lots of homes. They've got their face everywhere, but I just don't trust them. I think personally neither is good, but what are your thoughts there? Somebody I trust but not competent, somebody who's obviously competent but I just don't kind of vibe with.
Well, I would pick up neither.
Neither.
Yeah, well, only because you have to feel comfortable with who you hire and who you want to work with. I mean, it's a relationship. It's no different than husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. You've got to click. And so I think, if it's your cousin on one end that's new versus a high-profile realtor on the other end, I would interview 2 or 3 agents. I would get a referral. I would talk to people and see who they've used in the past, and go with the person you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
I think that's the best advice I would give anybody. You have to feel comfortable with somebody that's competent,
yeah.
that's technology-driven, because this is a day and age of cutting edge. And I think, again, to a lesser role, maybe commission, but that really shouldn't play a factor in the ultimate decision.
I know your business is mostly repeat and referral business. So people, love what you do and they refer you. But so there's lots of friends involved and there's lots of, and if we give this guy a break, then we're giving everybody a break. And at the end of the day, my son's not eating.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the philosophy and mindset between money and friends. I'm not talking so much business acquisitions, but I'm talking more when, when you're working for a friend, such in the case as whether it's a contractor, whether it's a hairdresser, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a realtor. What are your thoughts? When you have a friend that's working for you, are we paying them or are we always asking for a break?
It's human nature. Everybody's going to ask for a break. Everybody wants to pay less and get more. That's just part of the game.
Yeah.
I think when all is said and done, the best advice I could give is to stay consistent. That's what I've done in 4 years. I haven't changed my commission in 4 years.
No matter who it is.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because I think consistency breeds results, and I think
and integrity.
And integrity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think if you don't make amends to your commission, to your service, you're going to be doing okay. People will trust you, and that's where friends and family and referrals really starts to kick into 3rd and 4th gear. That's when you see people really believing in you.
And vice versa. Now, when you employ their services, who are friends, because they come, you're going to pay them what they're. We don't want to break because it's their livelihood. It's their, the way that they get blessed for good work.
Money was meant to be shared.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. And I'm finding that out. I mean, when I was younger, are you kidding me? I'm Indian, right? We need a deal. I need a deal on everything, right? We negotiate the cheese off the cheeseburger at McDonald's. So,
listen.
But, I think, and I'm just kidding. I love my peoples. That's why I moved here to the promised land of Brampton. But, so let's talk a little bit quickly about marketing now. So it's also fascinating to me that, an agent can come into my home and say some things that, they're bells and whistles. I like them, but they have nothing to do. I want you to, David, maybe destroy some marketing myths. What works and what absolutely doesn't work, or 1%, 2% might help, but agents shouldn't be wasting their money on that. And more importantly, sellers shouldn't be fooled by agents who claim that they do this, 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 and this.
Sure. I can only speak from experience. So in my experience, I think one of the most colossal myths out there is open houses.
Open houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think open houses are a great way to solicit purchasers. It's a great way to meet people for the agent, but statistically, it's not the
What
best way to.
is it 2%, 1%? Is there even
Something like that.
That if I do an open house, that person's actually going to buy my house. So
Yes.
what we're saying is, Rav's selling his house. He interviews David. David says, you know, Rav, I'm not going to do any open houses because they don't work. I'd rather spend the money on this. Vinny says, Rav, every Saturday, every Sunday, I'm going to do an open house. To me, it sounds great. You're saying, which I agree with you, it does nothing. All it really does is get Vinny more clients.
Well, yeah, it's going to give Vinny a little bit more clients, but I would also say that I wouldn't go ahead and not do them. If the vendor requests that an open house be held,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Yeah.
But again, our job is to educate, and statistically, if the goal is to pick up a buyer that's going to purchase the property, then it's our responsibility to let the vendor know that it's unlikely statistically to happen, and through experience almost never does. But it's a great way to pick up new business.
Okay. So open houses, that's one. Give me another one before we go to break.
I would say the other next myth is newspaper ads.
Newspaper. I want my house in the paper.
In the paper,
Yes.
yeah. Print advertising is dinosaur advertising. It's a thing of the past. I don't think it has the same reach as the internet. Search engine optimization has now taken over, paper printing, and so I would say that's a big myth. Statistically, again, not the best way to sell a property.
So Vinny says, I'm going to put it in all the papers. David says, you know what? I'd rather put it in no papers, and I'd rather build your home with an online presence.
Sure.
That's going to be more effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you just go with the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And so statistics are statistics. It's hard fact. And the reality is homes are selling online, and online presence is much more powerful than print or open house.
So somebody's watching this, they're saying, what do you mean online? Like, are you talking about Craigslist and Kijiji and, different kinds of Zoocasas and different kind of sites
To a
like
lesser
that?
extent, yeah. I think the key now is called search engine optimization, whereby you have purchasers looking online using keyword search terms.
Yeah.
And if you can capitalize on those keyword searches,
Yeah.
you're going to be okay.
Okay, let's come back to that
Sure.
SEO when we come back from the break. 905-595-5483 is the number to call. We're talking to David Alfasi. Don't go anywhere. In Tune with Real Estate continues in a moment. Thanks for watching.
The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
It's Raf Tour. You're watching In Tune with Real Estate, the hottest real estate show in the world. That's right, I said it. Lucky you, Peel Region. Just kidding, kind of. We've got a great show here tonight. We're talking to David Alfasi. We're talking about everything real estate. If you're thinking about buying, selling, investing in the next few months, you've got to watch the show. Stay tuned. 905-595-5483 is the number to call, David. It's been great having you on the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate so much your knowledge. You're always learning and growing. Not to mention, it doesn't hurt that I've got the number one sales representative for the largest brokerage in the nation standing before me. So obviously you know some stuff here. We're talking about search engine optimization. So really what you're talking about, and now I know where you're spending money, because that's not cheap.
No.
I mean, we're paying companies anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per month to make sure that, you know, David Alfasi's name and all his listings are number one when people want to Google, you know, home for sale in Peel Region or home for sale in Vaughan or home for sale, you know, people go there, they get to see all your listings, and that's how we're able to sell homes as well. And it doesn't have to just be, you know, through the MLS, through the Strata system, all that kind of stuff. I think that's very, very cool. I want to talk a little bit about the market. You know, a lot of people, they read the headlines, they listen to the news, and when things are boring, you know, when our mayors are not kind of getting in any trouble, then we start talking about this bubble word, or, you know, the banks are now capping their lendings and all that kind of stuff. Here we are about, I don't know, it must be 15 years now of good real estate, maybe a little bit of a hiccup in 2009, but are they right? If they're not right, why are they not right? What does David say to his young niece who wants to get into the condo market in Peel Region or York Region or Toronto and says, you know, Uncle Dave, is this the right time for me to buy?